We're here today with the Walter Gregg family. It was Walter Gregg's home that the bomb fell into his backyard. Mr. Gregg, could you tell us what you were doing about that time of day?
It was around a little after 4 o'clock, kind of windy, cool day. And son and myself was in my little workshop garage, fiddling around, doing nothing special. Actually, we thought it was another smaller plane from Shaw Field that came over approximately the same time the bomb dropped.
Oh.
And I thought that was a small plane that crashed just behind our yard. And we looked and saw smoke and dirt and mud, everything falling from the air. So we said, well, I told Walter, if that pilot's going down there, no use to even look, because he'll be dead. When we first went out, the whole yard was full of smoke and dust and dirt. It's still falling. And then the girls were over in the left side of the yard. They had a little playhouse. And the cook, she had gone over to see them also. But I saw all of them running around and playing, and the electric wire, it was swinging back and forth about like a swing. And I hollered to the girls, stay still, don't move, y'all stay one place. Then we had a 300-gallon LP tank, gas tank, heat and everything with it. And as I went by, I cut it off. I didn't know what was loose in the house or anything. But the house looked mighty bad with dirt, big holes in it, with mud and stuff from the hole that going up in there and it come back down on top of the house and knocked holes all through it. And then I ran on in the house to see about my wife. She was in there holding her head, and blood was running down arm on the elbow, dripping on the floor. And I stayed there a few minutes, and then I went back out to check on the children again, and that's about starting off with the whole thing just a few minutes after it actually happened.
We were over in the left. There was Ella, my cousin, and Helen, my sister, and I was over there. Everything was fine. And then I remember having to get up off the ground. I had been knocked on the ground, and there was it was mud that was just pelting down on top of us.
We spent the night at Dr. Mead's house here in Florence, MD, and we went back out there the next morning, and they wouldn't even let us get into the house. The Air Force from Myrtle Beach was guarding it, and they wouldn't let anybody or call anybody to let us get back in.
Sometimes I felt like, oh, it's impossible. You all can't make it again. But then again, I say, yes, you can. And I tell you, I think what was such a wonderful thing, the people of Florence, we wouldn't have made it without them. They couldn't have been any better. So when you have people like that working with you, you can make it.
I was riding with a friend, Guy Moore, going to Florence for some reason. I can't remember what. We'd come home from school. We came up Francis Marion Road to the intersection, which was old 301 then, turned left to go to Florence. Probably a couple of 100 feet after we got straightened out going towards Florence, the car felt like it just jumped to the left. I didn't hear anything, but looked back over my shoulder, and when we cleared the trees and everything, the mushroom cloud was going straight.
My father and myself were standing in the kitchen, and all of a sudden we hear that. Well, it felt honestly like the house raised up off the foundation, and a couple of windows broke, and you could. It was obvious to see it was plaster, and cracked on the wall and everything, and the commode cracked. And of course, my daddy at that time he had a lot of jet planes breaking the sound barrier, and that's the first thing he really thought. He said, "Boy, that's an unusual loud sound barrier break." So he probably said a few choice words about the Air Force and went on back to work, and he was plowing right close to Ford Road on a tractor. And this was probably after about 30 minutes after the actual bomb had dropped, and somebody stopped on the highway and said, did you hear about the bomb falling on your brother's land? And he said, no. So he came back to the house and got my mother, myself, and you couldn't go on Ford Road. It was blocked off. So we went through the back ways, the back roads, and got to the site. And then, of course, he started inquiring about his brother and the children and everything.
Tell us a little bit about what you have in this box here.
Okay. Well, I'll go back to when the bomb actually fell. Of course, the children, we went up there and started looking around, and of course, the civil defense was there, and the MP, of course, we were little, and he had a big pistol, and he said, now, if you find anything, turn it off and turn it back. Which I did find several more pieces. I do remember finding one piece that had several wires hooked to it, and I turned it back. But this particular piece here, we farmed some land adjoining, adjacent to where the bomb crater is, and I used to ride the track with my father all the time. And we found 2 or 3 pieces like this. And of course, we knew what it was.
In your fields?
In the fields. And this was probably, I'd say 300 or 400 yards away from the actual crater where these pieces were found. And I said, well, I'm just going to get a couple of them and keep them. And for 40-something years, it stayed in my,